It's the Wilk Report. I'm Michael Wilk, coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio, with an update on Vic Mignogna and his defamation case against his accusers. Now, if you've watched my channel before, you know that Vic Mignogna, who was in the fan series Star Trek Continues, playing Captain Kirk and the continuing adventures of the Starship Enterprise and its crew, uh, also has sort of a rivalry with Alec Peters over Axanar, and but he's also a voice actor, does a lot of anime voice acting. But he got caught up in the Me Too movement, and he had accusations against him from one of his coworkers. He was accused of inappropriately touching underage girls at conventions, but those accusations really have not held up under scrutiny. So he took his accusers to court, his former coworkers and Funimation, for defamation, and the judge ruled against him, but now he's appealing it. So let's go ahead and get to the news article. This is from oneangrygamer.net from December 15th. Vic Mignogna's appeal moving forward, or rather, it hasn't been denied or dismissed. According to an update from Minnesota lawyer Rick Rikita, Mignogna is moving forward with an appeal, and the defense have failed to get his attempt to appeal dismissed. So, yeah, much like Anas Abdin, Vic Mignogna is appealing the decision against him. The defense lawyer attempted to have Mignogna's appeal dismissed, but the motion was denied. So that means he's capable of moving forward with his appeal after the judge negligently dismissed the original case. The infuriated Kick Vic crowd, and now they're this decision infuriated the Kick Vic crowd, and now they're targeting Rikita again. Hirohei covered the news in a video published on December 13th. And I'll link to this in the description so you can watch the videos. I'm not going to play them back. So the article goes on. It says it was revealed that Mignogna had planned to appeal shortly after the initial decision on the case. In fact, just 10 days after the judge passed down the final verdict, where he threw out Mignogna's claims of defamation and tortious interference by his former co-workers, the reports were already circulating that he was set to appeal. All throughout the year, however, the Kick Vic crowd has been trying desperately to ruin the life of voice actor Vic Mignogna because he's a Christian. Well, no, they've been trying to ruin his life because he's an asshole. All right. I mean, and unfortunately, you know, he's one of those actors who just tends to engage in behavior that makes it easy for people to not like him. And I think this is, you know, a lot of what's driving him. Nobody's accusing him of this because he's a Christian, okay? He does apparently have a tendency to push his religion onto other people, whether they like it or not. I've got a couple relatives who do the same. You know, so it's kind of a complicated thing where it's like, yeah, guys, look, I'm a Christian myself, a Unitarian Christian, but you know, I don't go out of my way to push it on people. And I respect other people's religious beliefs to the extent that they don't try to infringe on mine. Uh, but you know, I admit I do get annoyed with it, but that's not why he's being accused. He's being accused because he's a jackass, apparently at conventions where he'll go ahead and unfortunately, I have no way of knowing if this is verifiable or just rumors started against him. Uh, but you know, as I've reported before, uh, you know, accusations include him, you know, blowing through his per diem allowance like first night of his convention gig, and then you know, basically conning convention volunteers into buying food for him because he can't be bothered to go to the ballroom that has the convention food that's set out for everyone. So uh, you know, and then of course, you know, there's his uh, pompousness because he's also attacked Alec Peters and said things that were demonstrably untrue, saying that he had profited off of the Star Trek property by making Axanar. No, he didn't. And, you know, being hypocritical against him for, uh, you know, supposedly violating the guidelines that the CPS eventually put out. Uh, But, it's hypocritical because Alec Peters didn't violate any guidelines because it didn't exist yet. By contrast, Vic Mignogna did violate several of the 15 guidelines that CBS put out after they had been created in response to the XNR lawsuit. And, some of those included, hiring former Trek actors like John Delancey to guest star in an episode, hiring SAG actors, Screen Actors Guild actors, which John Delancey is a member of the Screen Actors Guild. He has to be paid in order to be in a project. Otherwise, he loses his status in the guild, because the Screen Actors Guild is the union that employs, many actors join. It takes a lot of time and money to get into the guild, but once you're in, you basically, have a much better chance of getting projects. So yeah, what we're seeing here is Vic Mignogna being attacked for actions like that. His religion has nothing to do with it. In fact, he's actually on video yelling at a bunch of homophobes holding signs, typical bullshit signs, all gays are damned to hell and whatever, stuff like that. And he is actually on video screaming at these guys saying, look, you're not, like, God loves these people as much as he loves you. And as long as you keep preaching hate, you're not really representing Christ. So, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, the author of the article here is actually kind of fibbing here a little bit because it's got nothing to do with his religion. So yeah, Vic Mignogna's apparently fabricated the smears against him at the beginning of 2019 in order to get him fired, and it worked. He was not only fired by Funimation, but also by Rooster Teeth. But he took this to court, and he is still fighting it. Now, again, the lawsuit was dismissed, much like Anas Abdin's lawsuit was dismissed by a judge who was basically negligent in her duty, basically failed to look at the facts of the case, even though there, has been, motions to dismiss had been previously denied, but apparently one of the tactics CBS's lawyers tried finally stuck, and so now Anas Abdin is appealing that, and now Vic is appealing this ruling. So, so this is one of those things where, again, as with Anas Abdin, Vic is fighting an uphill battle to protect his name, his reputation, his work, because he is pushing 60. His ability to get work in Hollywood is diminishing with age. So, a lot of this is really basically, David fighting Goliath, proverbially speaking. But, and of course, as I've reported in other videos, and I'll have these embedded in the video here so you can watch those, we've got Kick Vic people suggesting altering images of him at conventions with his arms around fans to make it look like he's actually touching them inappropriately when he's actually not. And then, of course, one of the alleged victims of his sexual harassment came forward and said, look, I was not, one, he never harassed me, he never touched me inappropriately, and two, I was not underage at the time, I was over 18. So, right off the bat, the allegations, are not holding up under scrutiny. So, yeah, on the one hand, though, so I do support him in his appeal. I hope he manages to win, and he won't get his job back, but at least he won't be shunned from Hollywood as much as he otherwise would be. But I do have to say he does kind of make it easy by apparently behaving like a jackass, off camera. Especially, in this feud with Alec Peters. Now, Alec Peters is another man who has made some mistakes. He's got his own personality, quirks and failures that have contributed to his own woes. But he's, been unfairly attacked by Vic in the past, too. So I'm, on the one hand, yeah, I do support Vic in defending his name and reputation, but at the same time, he does tend to make it so easy for people to go after him. And I wish he would grow up and, really kind of start behaving like someone who's actually a true fan of Star Trek, and, who recognizes that, yeah, Alec Peters, for all his own flaws, is a fellow fan and is trying to make something that, in tone and uh, style and visuals is more Star Trek than anything CBS is currently producing. So, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think I'm full of it? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear from you. If you like what you've heard and you want to hear more, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to receive notifications whenever we upload new content. And when you hit that bell icon, select all. Like this video, share it to your social media accounts. And if you want to help support the channel, keep the lights on, help us bring you more content, head over to our Patreon or Subscribestar page. We can't do this without you. I've also got a tech fundraiser in the link in the description below. Until next time, this is Michael Wilk for the Wilk Report saying take care, good night, I'm out.